DJI MAVIC Mini meet SYMA X500. What's up, guys? There they are. Let's go ahead and get into a SYMA X500 review, and let's do it honestly. And also, let's talk about how to make the video a little bit better. It will not be in comparison to something as nice as like the DJI MAVIC Mini that I have here in my hand. We're going to talk about all of the good things and the bad things about the X500. I'm also going to just kind of give you a quick overview of the MAVIC Mini as well. This is twice the price. The MAVIC Mini is around $399, still street price. It's holding high. Don't confuse it for a 4K drone though, because it is not a 4K drone. And the SYMA X500 is definitely not on par with the MAVIC Mini. It is not an exact clone. It is just what they want to look like a MAVIC Mini. So keep that in mind, that the X500 is absolutely a toy drone and just for having fun, not for filming cinema quality video. The MAVIC Mini, in my opinion, gets kind of somewhere mid-grade type of video. It's not perfect, it's 2.7K, but it does have brushless motors and a 30-minute flight time on this quad, but this one is less than half the price. The X500 comes in at around $189. So it is still under less than half the price. You get a pretty decent case along with it. Mine got 2 batteries in the case. It came with a charger that charges up with a USB cable and any outlet for a USB plug up to about 2.5 amp per charge rate. And it is foldable like the MAVIC Mini, but it has a 2S 1700 milliamp battery in here as well. So whereas the MAVIC Mini is going to get us around 30 minutes flight time, this guy will actually get us around 25 minutes flight time. So if you're wanting something that you can use for a close-up trainer, the SYMA X500 is not a bad quad for that. It does also have GPS position hold and altitude hold on there, which a lot of you guys are looking for. It has orbit mode, follow mode, even waypoints are on here. It does not have a stabilized camera gimbal. So in my opinion, the video is kind of trash. We all know it's going to be trash on here. It also records to a micro SD card slot on the back, very similar to the MAVIC Mini. It has very similar sized props. Now, in my experiences, I've been flying DJI drones for almost 7 to 8 years now, and DJI has been around for quite some time, and the MAVIC Mini is a pretty good staple for the overall beginner getting into cinematic filming, or you just want something to play around with. Both of these are not going to be a quad that you want to choose for high winds. Just keep that in mind. Anything over a 10-mile-an-hour wind is going to have a hard time getting your X500 back because it is brushed motors, and pushing full stick, I had a hard time just bringing it back to the home point, even in 100% mode. Making it fly a little bit faster. Now, it also has waypoints on here, which I did not play around with, but we're gonna mostly focus on the video today. So let's go ahead outside now, and I'll show you some video that comes stock with the SYMA X500, and then we'll also take my Insta360 Go camera and we'll put it on the front of the SYMA X500, and I'll show you what that video looks like. If you already have an Insta360 Go, by all means find a spot on the SYMA X500 and slap it on there, because you'll get some pretty decent footage. A lot of people really love the Insta360 Go. Let's go ahead outside now. I'll show you some line of sight Insta360 Go and some SYMA X500 footage, and as a bonus again, some MAVIC Mini footage as well. Here we go. Okay guys, you might run into this when you have the X500 on the ground. I had it absolutely stable. I tried it on the ground, I tried it on the box, I tried it on a landing pad, and I still seemed to get this multiple times. Also had some issues with getting the GPS to lock. I never actually got my GPS working on here, so I couldn't test all the different features on this particular drone. So follow me, waypoints, all that good stuff. It seemed like in the very first flight right here, it was the optical flow holding its position. The optical flow seems to work quite good, and it also seems to be able to record from the optical flow camera on the bottom, which is a very interesting feature that I haven't seen before in any drone out there. Now, as far as the flight characteristics, flying it around right in front of you, this is where the X500 has some good points, like being able to just learn your orientations, left, right, backwards, forwards, learn your yaw, all that good stuff, your throttle management, up and down. It's very gentle flying, and it's pretty responsive. Once you get that magnetic compass calibrated and you get the compass calibration done, it seems to fly well. If you don't get it done and you try to fly it, it will do this thing like a giant toilet bowl effect. It'll fly around and round and round, and you won't have any control, and it'll crash into something or into the ground. The good thing is that it is very lightweight, so when I did have a couple crashes because of that magnetic failure, it did not sustain any damage, which was awesome. Now I'm just coming in for a landing here. I was going to land on the X500 box, but didn't quite make it on the box, guys. Almost, but not quite. And finally, disarming the drone by pushing the sticks down and to the outside corners. You can also stop it in the app, do an auto landing. Now here is the app itself. You can see up at the left hand side of the screen, the top left, there is no satellites. They never loaded up for me. What's the deal there? We also have return to home option on here. There's tons of different modes on this quad, which is kind of cool, but I didn't get to explore a lot of them. So we have optical flow, we have palm control, which is kind of useless after you try it once. It has flight plan, it has human tracking, it has the one key return, obviously, something called GPS tracking. The 1080p video on here, it looks a little better on the recorded video on my device versus what I saw as well. When I was flying, I was getting a lot of lag once I got about 100 feet away from myself. So take that in consideration. You're gonna have to be able to keep this drone within line of sight and fly it mostly line of sight if your phone can't handle the Wi-Fi. I did hear that other people are talking about having some problems with the Wi-Fi on their phone while it's on and being able to get GPS to load. So you might try to turn off the Wi-Fi on your phone and fly at line of sight. See if that GPS loads up for you and will position hold. You'll know if you put it up about 100 feet and it stays in one spot with GPS positioning. Close to the ground, it's going to be optical flow, so keep that in mind. SYMA X500 video here, again, it's very toy-like, very similar to what other quads I've seen out there recently in the past couple of years as far as toy drones go. The video is a little bit laggy. It does chop from frame. It does some frame drops here and there. And this is the optical flow recording on the bottom, on the top right-hand portion of your screen, which is kind of neat, not super usable, but again, it's kind of a cool feature that's in the app that you can do dual recording. But overall, again, there's a lot of chop with this. I mean, this is the frames that you're seeing here. I'm not doing any cutting here. This is actually what was recorded to my SD card. And I can see a little bit of fine detail on the trees. And then here are some close-up shots of us at the field. Now let's have some fun. Let's go ahead and put the Insta360 Go on the front of the X500 and let's bring it out here in the middle of the field and see what kind of quality we can get now. A little bit of yaw spin there, and we'll just fly by and we'll go out in the field a little bit. We'll see what kind of shots we can get now. We're using this camera. It is a 1080p 3-axis electronic stabilized camera, so there is no moving parts on this camera, or it is not even a camera gimbal. It's just 3M sticky tape to the front of the X500, which still is pretty impressive. I'm getting pretty decent video here. Not a ton of vibrations or jello in the video. You can see a little bit of props up at the very top, but you can play around with position on this camera. You can actually stand the camera straight up off the top of this drone. You can put it sideways. You can put it all kinds of different spaces around wherever you can put it on the drone and actually bring home some pretty cool video. At times, there seemed to be a little bit of vibration coming from the quad, but again, I just hard mounted this to the quad, so I think the result that we're getting here is way better than what we were getting before. And there I can see a little bit of prop wash and a little bit of jello in there if I want to be super critical, but pretty impressive to be able to get this kind of quality video off of a toy drone. It just makes it so much more fun and usable. Now you can mount it in the front and still be able to see through the front of the camera that's on the drone. So if you still want to use the app and shoot with the 360 Go on there, you can do that as well. So it will absolutely not carry a GoPro. It's just this quad doesn't have enough power to carry a GoPro. So guys that are kind of wondering that, can I carry a GoPro? Nope, you can't. So this is what you can get with the Insta360 Go, and it's really, I'm quite impressed with always taking something like a toy drone and being able to make it fly, seem to fly a little bit better and get really nice stabilized video with something so cheap. But again, you could do this with just about any drone out there. If you buy something for $89 and it flies, you can put the Insta360 Go in there and still probably come home with video that looks as good as a $180 drone. So that's totally up to you. If you already have something, grab one of these and slap it on anything out there. People use them on race quads, they use them on GPS drones, they use them on airplanes, just about anything. I've actually stuck one on a helicopter and it did pretty decent. So I'm really kind of happy with what I brought home here with this camera, and I'll come in a little bit closer here in a second and I'll show you even the difference up close when my guys here are standing at the field. And we'll bring it down just a little bit, bring it in a little bit closer so you can kind of see up close quality here. Not too bad on the hover, looking pretty good. Now let's take a look at the Mavic Mini video. So for twice the price, this is what you get. I mean, come on guys, this is what you can expect from DJI, and that is some rock solid video, super smooth pans, all of the flight modes, and you know, you get what you pay for in this instance. So you're gonna be in it to win it with the Mavic Mini at 2.7. So let's go back in the studio now and let's give some final opinion on the X500.
All right guys, welcome back from the flights and playing around with the app and the Insta360 Go, adding that on there. The 1080p camera on here is not the greatest quality. It is absolutely a toy drone quality and it's pretty unusable. So let's just be honest about that video. It is not really usable for anything other than just having some fun. And the snapshots were okay, but they're not something to write home about. I think that the power system on here is also a little bit underpowered versus the Mavic Mini, obviously, because we have brushless motors here and we have brushed motors here. So fighting the wind with this one flies in about half the wind that the Mavic Mini could. So this one you can probably fly in upwards of 15 mile an hour wind, whereas this one, anything over 10 miles an hour, is probably going to be quite a challenge for the X500. But I like that they're both foldable. They are both under 250 grams. This one, again, the optical flow and the GPS system seemed to work pretty good. The optical flow, thank God, was holding me true for my hover during my test. The GPS seemed to be malfunctioning the day that I flew. It had some type of magnetic interference and also had that magnetic calibration failure over and over and over. So that was a big turnoff about the X500. I did have way more trouble getting this one set up. It was quite a process to get this one off the ground and flying. So anybody that's a beginner getting the X500 might become frustrated with the idea of flying a drone because it is extremely hard process to get this one magnetically calibrated, the compass rotated, and finally set. It kept failing as well with that compass calibration procedure, which is a big turn off for that. So a little bit of frustration with this quad that day. And finally, I did get it up in the air. So the Mavic Mini wins for the ease of setup again, and the app is super foolproof. It's very straightforward and easy to get up in the air. So, but I do like that for the beginners, you do have quite a long flight time with the SYMA X500. You have around 25 minutes flight time. So that's actually pretty comparable to the Mavic Mini in that instance, but not the greatest video again on this one versus this one. So take it with a grain of salt, guys. It is what it is. I'm Justin Davis. Thanks again for watching my video and comparison and a little bit of fun with the X500 from SYMA. You can check out both these links down below. Happy drone flying, guys. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one.